third way. Mhm.
My son and I have been through that. All of that area.
Nobody's on yet.
Yeah, what is that from? Is that on the thing? Okay. Probably not. It must be an expired one. Yeah.
What's the difference between the two mics?
Right.
Your default speaker has changed to speakers. Your
One's for Zoom, isn't it?
Correct. Yes, correct.
I know that I heard a lot of people seem to have heard it well on Zoom, except that today I don't know if it's working because no one's on. Rabbi Barber, maybe there's a problem because no one's on. I suspect there's a problem right now. I don't think that my meetings are going to be on next week because I don't know how reliable the internet is there. And I have enough. I have anyway 15 shiurim to give in 4 days. So being worked very hard there. Maybe no one is on. You're the only one here and there's no one on Zoom. I think there's a problem.
If I miss one train, I'll put half an hour before late. I don't have much choice. Earlier that.
It's 10:03 and the Zoom, I don't think the Zoom is working. I'm gonna call Rabbi Barber. Oh, not here. Okay, I don't think the Zoom is working. Nobody's on. No, we have one more good man came. One more man has come already. Still talking about the Veda. But I don't think our Zoom is working today. Nobody's here on Zoom. Hmm?
The gate was locked. Yes, I had trouble yesterday. I didn't. Somebody was coming out of the Shiva. Coming out of the Shiva. Yeah, I came yesterday. It wasn't until about 10 when I the door.
Okay, I don't know if we should start or not because the Zoom people are not on, and I'm sure that it's a fault in the Zoom. Because the people where I started the last few days, there was 5, 6, 7 people on. So I have a feeling that there's a technology fault. Wait another 2-3 minutes and then we begin, regardless. May just be a share for the two of you, because the Zooms have been excluded.
No, there's some people downstairs, but they're just yapping.
That's okay.
the other end. It should be.
You know what? You try to get on. Somebody should call and see if they can get on. I don't believe it. There's two possibilities. No one tried to connect, or it's not working. If you think I should start, I'm happy to start. Every day we had a big crowd. Did you get on? Okay. It's working?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so it is working.
Mhm.
So why is nobody on? Maybe nobody just interested.
Nobody's coming, but we're good to go.
Okay.
Enjoy. Excited?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I think that we are going to begin. As far as the copies, there's copies on the back table, or alternatively, you can get copies right here before we begin. Today, it's only the people here. We don't have any Zoom customers yet. What? Okay, here. Anybody need a copy of the paper? You can either get one on the back table or right here. Okay, now, we were doing the Midrashim on Shiras Devorah, and we are going to start from page 5. We're in the middle of the Medrash on page 5, which is quoted from Mechilta to Rabbi Yishmael. And this goes on Oz Yoshir. And this goes on Oz Yoshir. On Oz Yoshir, which we say every day, we say, Oshirong Hashem ki go'oi go'o. I will sing to Hashem because he is very great. So when it says go'oi go'o, the word go'o is the same shayrish as gaiva, haughty. Misgoehu al kol ha-misgoim. He is over all those who are arrogant. There are many human beings who are arrogant, and they think they got it all made and they could do whatever they want. And these people believe that they are in control of their destiny. And what happens is these people who are arrogant, it is actually the issue of their arrogance that ends up working against them. It is the issue of their arrogance. And Hashem punishes the person midah keneged midah, measure for measure. We mentioned yesterday at the Egyptians at the sea that because Paro was throwing the babies into the sea, that's why the Egyptians were punished with water, with drowning. And he has over here, Hashem is over all the arrogant people. Whatever the nations are arrogant about, who nifra mehem, this person who thinks, I got it all made, I have this and this thing going for me, that itself is going to work against you. You find by the Egyptians, is go in that which they were arrogant before Hashem, nifra mehem, that's where they got punished. Paro was all big because he had 600 metal chariots. So he thought the metal chariots are going to make it for him. And it says, after that, it was the chariots of Paro and his army which were thrown into the sea. And actually, if we see in Oz Yoshir, in Parsha B'Shalach, it actually turns out that the chariots themselves worked against the Jewish people, against the Egyptians. It has over here, just to mention from Oz Yoshir, how the Egyptians got punished from the chariots themselves. It has over here by Yehi B'Ashmeidas HaBoker. It was early in the morning. Ashmeidas HaBoker is approximately 2 a.m., 2/3 through the night. And Hashem, Vayashkev Hashem Amachane Mitzrayim Ba'amud Eish Ve'onon. Hashem put a pillar of fire towards the camp of Mitzrayim. Vayohom es Machane Mitzrayim, and he got them all confused because there was big thunders. And then Vayosar es Oifen Markavais, of the fires burned the wheels the wheels of their wagon suddenly melted from the fire. What happens is you got a chariot and the horses are pulling it and there's no wheels. The wheels go off. If you put a horse to pull a chariot and there's no wheels, how are the people inside the chariot going to do? There's going to be a very bumpy ride. The chariot suddenly, and the chariots, the wagons were being pulled by Yoshvim Bahim Noim, and the people sitting in the chariots were going up and down, and the people in there were shaking, and the limbs of the Egyptians were falling to pieces. They were losing hands, feet, were falling apart. So it turned out the 600 chariots that Paro thought was going to be his strength, that was actually the first cause of the downfall. Because long before anybody drowned at the sea, the people in the chariots lost hands and feet because of the big bumpy ride. Okay, going on now. And the same you find with Sisra. We're spending this whole week on the Shiras Devorah, which is the Haftarah in 2 weeks. Sisra who abused the Jewish people verbally, was very arrogant. Shebemashin is gone upon of this which he was arrogant with. By Niframi Menu, this was how he was punished. Shenamar again, Vayazik Sisra's Kol Richbay. Sisra had a lot of metal chariots. He was really excited. He's got 900 metal chariots, and because of this, he will win any war. Uksiv, it says, Min Hashamayim Nilchamu Hakechovim. The stars fought from the heavens, Mimisiloisam from their orbits, that the stars suddenly heated up the chariots, and the chariots got hot, and the people on the chariots got hot, and therefore they went into Nachal Kishen, into the river to cool off, and then the river suddenly drowned them. So it turned out that it was the chariots that Sisra was so arrogant about that turned out to be their downfall. You find Shimshon. The Mashin is gone upon of Shimshon was very into his eyes. By Niframi Menu, this was his punishment. Shimshon's failing was an attraction to Plishti women, and it was one of these Plishti women which his eyes were tempted to that ended up destroying him. Shenamar, it says, by Yomer Shimshon el Aviv Oisa Kachli, Shimshon tells his father, take her for me, ki hi yishara be'inai. She is good in my eyes, and he had a desire to this particular woman. And in the end, the downfall of Shimshon, came from Delilah, who was one of the Plishti women who he was attracted to. Now here it says, which is very difficult. The Omer, it says, the Oviv v'imay lo yodu kimei Hashem. His parents did not know that it was from Hashem that he was attracted to Plishti women. And here we have a major question. If the attraction to Plishti women was from Hashem, then why are you punishing him for it? It's not his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. Hashem made him do it. We had in Chumash about 2 weeks ago in Vayechi that Yehuda thought he was going to be rebuked for the story of Tamar, but his father didn't rebuke him. Why not? And Rashi says, because Hashem took away his free choice. If Hashem takes away somebody's free choice, then it doesn't make sense to punish the person. So what's going on here? So it actually mentions in the Gemara, and it's going to be mentioned in this Medrash as well, that even though Shimshon was attracted to Plishti girls from Hashem, which that was a fact, and that wasn't, and therefore that was Kimei Hashem, who that was from Hashem, but the first Plishti girl that he was attracted to had Gior, had conversion, and he married her a proper marriage, a halachic marriage. There's actually a Rambam who mentions that about Shimshon and Shloimeh, that the Rambam, it's in Hilchos Misuri Bia Parak Yud Gimel, where he says that both Shimshon and Shloimeh HaMelech never married non-Jewish women, but however, all of them had conversions. So that was not, however, later Shimshon started living with women without any marriage of any sort, without any marriage, without any conversion, just on a one-time basis. So here we have Uksiv Vayaychas who plished him by Yanakru, saying if they poked out his eyes, by Yoridu say Azosa. They brought him to the city of Azah. Why specifically, when Shimshon was punished and his eyes poked out, was it done in the city of Azah? And Rabbi Yehuda Omer Tchilas Kilkuloi be'Azah. His kilkul, his first mess, came in Azah. Now, the question is, what do you mean the first mess came in Gaza? We know that the first Plishti woman that he was attracted to was actually in Timnah, but the one he was attracted to in Timnah had a halachic conversion, and they had a proper halachic marriage. However, in Gaza, he just was with a woman on a one-time basis. And therefore, because his first time that he was with a prostitute was in Gaza, therefore, his punishment came in Gaza. Now, this idea that whatever a person is arrogant about, that's what they get punished with. You find about Avshalom. Avshalom was a son of David who rebelled against him. And for 6 months, David was forced out of Yerushalayim to the other side of the Yarden, running away from his own son who rebelled against him. Now, Avshalom had amazing hair. He was amazing, good-looking fellow. And it says, B'mashen is goy, with that which he was arrogant about, boy nifra mimenu. From that, Hashem punished him. Avshalom was arrogant about his hair. He had the most beautiful hair, which is why he made himself a nazir to give his hair kedusha. It says, Ukavshalom lehoya ish yafeh. There was no other man as good looking as Avshalom. When he would shave his head, his hair was valuable. The hair was very popular. And because of this, when Avshalom was punished, he was punished with his hair. The story over there was that Avshalom was riding on the mule, and his hair, which was very long, got caught in a tree, and the mule moved on, and Avshalom was hanging from this tree by his hair. So it's the hair that caused him to hang, and right under it, it was a very difficult. He couldn't just knock off the hair and go jump off, because it was Gehenna opened up right under him, so he was in big trouble. And eventually, Yoav got 10 people, and who went and killed Avshalom because he was hanging over there. So again, Avshalom was messed up. It was the hair that caused him to be arrogant, because he was so good looking. This hair was actually the cause of his downfall. The next medrash that we have quoted, which is on, if you have the Midrashim pages, and we're in page 6, top of page 6, there are more copies in the back of the room or in the front. Tzachim Kufyud Chesamid Beis, Rabbi Nosson Omer, Ve'emes Hashem Le'olam. We have this, we say in Hallel. Today is actually Chav Dalet Tevis. Actually worth mentioning today, of course, is the yahrzeit of the Alter Rebbe. And before we do the next medrash, I want to just mention, because today is the Alter Rebbe's yahrzeit, to mention at least one concept of the Alter Rebbe. And that is, it says in the Alter Rebbe, brings in Tanya, that Moshiach comes from Ma'aseinu va'avodoseinu b'meshech zman hagolus, from our actions and our avodah. What is the difference between Ma'aseinu and avodoseinu? Anybody who's gone to my Tanya Shiurim, I mention this all the time. Ma'aseinu is I did a good deed. Everybody here came to Yarchikala in person or in Zoom. You did a good deed. You came to learn. Baruch Hashem. You did a good thing. I put on tefillin today. I'm wearing a yarmulke. I'm wearing tzitzis. I did a lot of good deeds in my life. Baruch Hashem. And that's called ma'aseinu. I did something good. Avodoseinu is the good deed I did. It was difficult. It was hard. The question is there good deeds that are in your comfort zone? And then there are good deeds which are against your comfort zone. It's not in my area of convenience. There are certain things that come easy for each person, and certain things come very hard. And avodah is something that is difficult. One more quote, just because it's Chav Dalet Tevis, a quote from the Alter Rebbe. In the Hakdama, in the introduction to Tanya, the Alter Rebbe mentions that the book of Tanya has the answer to all questions in Avodas Hashem. Anybody has a problem, the answers can be found in Tanya. Some people may not know how to find the answers, so the Alter Rebbe says that those people who don't know how to find the answers, they should go to the Gedolim Shebeiroi, the leaders of his city, and they will guide him on how to find the answer in Tanya, which is the idea of Asay L'Charav, have a mashpia. And then the Alter Rebbe goes on to say that he appeals to the Gedolim, to these people who should be guiding others. shelilosum yad lepen, not to put their hand over their mouth with shiflus shel sheker, with a false humility. And very interesting, this statement of the Alter Rebbe, that he says that if you're able to help someone else and you don't take responsibility, that is what would be called a shiflus shel sheker. It is a false humility. And then the Alter Rebbe goes on to say, and it's known, oynesh hamar lemeinei abar, the severe punishment for somebody holds back grain. Literally, it means if there's a hungry person, somebody starving to death, and they come to your door, knock, knock, can you please give me a piece of bread? And you don't give it to him, and he starves, and he dies. So holding back bread from a person is a very serious crime. However, the Alter Rebbe refers to it in a spiritual way, that somebody needs help, somebody needs encouragement in whichever area in Torah and mitzvahs, and you hold back encouraging them. So that is, for holding back encouragement, there is oynesh hamar. It's a very serious thing to hold back, encourage. If there's somebody who needs spiritual assistance, and you have the ability to assist him, and you don't assist him, that's a very serious thing. And the Alter Rebbe there goes on to say, "V'yadua oynesh hamar lemeinei abar v'goydel haschar." It's known the severe punishment for one who holds back, and the great reward if you do help another person. Now, some people may think that you help another person. How can I help another person? You know, the big rabbis, okay, they can help. But me, what can I do? But the truth is that Rebbe says that if you know Aleph, teach Aleph. Wherever you are, every single one of us has the ability to give some encouragement to someone else and bring someone else a little bit closer. We mentioned the other day in the Midrashim that we had on Devorah, that why we had a Medrash, which we mentioned, that why was Devorah mentioned if you had in that generation Pinchas, who was a much greater tzaddik. And what's mentioned is the difference between that Pinchas did not take responsibility of outreach, of going out and encouraging and taking interest in people. As opposed to Devorah, Devorah took interest in the education of children, and Devorah took a tremendous interest. We mentioned yesterday specifically that Devorah took interest in the, what does it say? In the Shira, it says, I have to remember the word, about the scattered, about the ones that are the most scattered. Tzitkas pirzoinoi b'Yisrael, that Hashem made that Yidden should be all scattered. And we mentioned yesterday a Yalkut, a Tana Devei Eliyahu, who mentioned how Devorah took interest in Yidden in the far out places to see to it that they should have shuls and they should have chazonim and they should have teachers for children. Okay, let's get, however, to the next medrash, because I want to stick to Shiras Devorah, and we're on the top of page 6. There are more copies in the back or in the front if anybody needs. And I'll be Nosan Imer, the top of page 6, Ve'emes Hashem li'olam. Now, Ve'emes Hashem li'olam is mentioned in Hallel. It's also mentioned in Tehillim. It's in today's Tehillim. Today is the 24th of the month, and today was Hallel in Tehillim. And we have the shortest chapter in Tehillim, which is Hallel Hashem kol goyim shavchu kolum ki gavra le'yachastei ve'emes Hashem li'olam, that Hashem is kind to us and Hashem is always true. So what does it mean Hashem is always true? So these words, emes Hashem li'olam, dogim shebiyamoru. This was said by the fish in the story of, and we'll soon see how this fits with Shiras Devorah. By the miracle of Shiras Devorah, the fish said, emes Hashem li'olam, Hashem is true. What's Shiras Devorah have to do with the Tehillim we said today? Kid Rav Huna. The Amar Rav Huna Yisrael shebe'oisei doir miktane amono hoyu. The Jews at the time of the splitting of the sea. And just to mention, we mentioned before, Shiras Devorah is read in 2 weeks. Parsha B'Shalach on Shabbos Shira, the same week, the week that we read the story of the splitting of the sea. At the time of the splitting of the sea, there were some Jews who were lacking in faith. They rebelled at the Yamsuf, when they saw the Egyptians drowning in the Yam Suf, they were rebelling. How do you rebel? What are they rebelling when the Jews? You see that Hashem saved the Jews and the Egyptians are falling into the sea. What are they rebelling? He says, it was at the moment of the splitting at the sea that there were Jews who were rebelling. And they said, we were in the sea, and yet we came out alive. So yes, the Egyptians were in the sea, but the sea is going to get them out somewhere. They'll survive, just like we survived. Hashem wanted that every single Jew should know that all the Egyptians who chased them are dead. Hashem told the officer of the sea, take all the Egyptians' bodies and spit them out on the dry land so that the Jewish people will see that they are alive and the Egyptians are dead. So the Sar Shel Yam, the angel in charge of the sea, has a complaint to Hashem. Amar Lefanov, he says to him, Ribono shel olam, master of the world, klum yesh evet shenaisen le'rabi matana b'chayzer v'neitel mimenu. You gave me a gift and you're taking it away. What's going on? You gave me a gift. You gave me 600 bodies, which were wonderful. My fish are hungry. And we got 600 bodies. And now you're asking me to spit it out. And my fish are going to be hungry. Amar lois, Hashem tells him, I'll give you 50% over. I'm asking you to spit out 600 bodies and I'm going to give you 900 bodies. Amar lois, so the angel in charge of the sea says to Hashem, Ribono shel olam, Yesh evet teveyas rabbi, could there be a servant who is going to demand of his teacher? In other words, what's this malach going to do? And if Hashem doesn't pay up and doesn't give the 900 bodies, you're going to take Hashem to judgment? What are you going to do? Amar Alois, Hashem says, don't worry. Nachal kishoin yehi orev. Nachal kishoin will guarantee this little stream, Nachal kishoin, which is where when the army of Sisra, when the chariots were heating up, the Sisra's army went to cool off in Nachal Kishoin. So Hashem says, Nachal Kishoin Yehei Orev. It will be a guarantee. Miyad Polat Oisan Le'abosha. They spit them out to the dry land. Ubo Yisrael Vero Oisan. And the Jewish people saw them. Shenemar, as it says, Vayar Yisrael Es Mitzrayim Meis Al Sfas Hayam. The Jewish people saw that the Egyptians were dead at the side of the sea. My echadumech. So what do you mean? Hashem said, I'll pay you back with 50% extra. For 600 bodies, I'll give you 900. By Pari, it was Sheish Meis Rechav Bocher. There were 600 young chariots, horses. Sisra, it says Shameis Rechav Barzel. Sisra had 900 chariots, so there were more bodies. And over there, it was given to the sea, and the sea got it. Yes. Just an amazing Rashi in this Gemara in Psachim where this is quoted. Rashi says, okay, so why did Hashem spit them out on the dry land? Hashem spit them out because, here's also this one. Hashem spit them out because the Jews were lacking faith, that the Jewish people should know, but still everything is hashgacha pratis. Why did these Egyptians that could have been without, there's a schus to be buried. These Egyptians could have been just drowned in the sea and their bodies would have been washed away. They merited to be buried. So Rashi says, V'nitnu likvuda. These Egyptians, these 600 Egyptians, they merited burial. Why did the Egyptians merit burial? So Rashi says, Bischus, in the merit, Hashem nilcham lahem. This is not written in your copies. Hashem nilcham, this is from a Rashi, this only has the Gemara. Hashem nilcham lahem b'Mitzrayim. It says the Egyptians said, Hashem is fighting for them in Mitzrayim. So because the Egyptians, at the first problem, when the chariots, we mentioned before that the fire heated up the wheels of the chariots and the wheels melted and they started getting a bumpy ride and their limbs started falling off. So all these Egyptians who were on these chariots, they said, these Egyptians who were on the chariots, and these are the same Egyptians who drowned a few hours later, they said, just reading the pasuk, he removed, I'm reading a pasuk from Bishanga, you don't have it in your copies, he removed the wheels of the chariots, and they got a very heavy ride. They were going, when the horses pulled the chariots, and there's no wheels, the person inside the chariot goes up and down a terribly bumpy ride. And as Rashi says that they lost limbs. Vayomer Mitzrayim, and the Egyptians said, Onusom mipnei Yisrael, I will flee from the Jewish people. Ki Hashem nilchom lahem b'Mitzrayim, because Hashem is fighting the Egyptians. So because the riders of these 600 chariots, they all acknowledged that it was Hashem fighting the war, they were still killed. All of them died. All of them died at the sea. But they merited, these 600 people merited burial because a few hours before their death, because the bumpy ride was at 2 a.m. The actual splitting of the sea was right before dawn, a couple of hours different. So in those few hours, they had done some level of acknowledging Hashem, and in the merit of that, according to Rashi, that's why they're merited to be buried. But let's get back to our Gemara. We're in the bottom, for those who have the copies, it's the bottom of page 6. He also, Sisra, when Sisra came, and again, Sisra was the general who abused the Jewish people verbally for 20 years, and he is the one who Devorah and Barak had that amazing war, which they won in one day, which we've been discussing the last few days. Also, Alayu B'dikre de Parzala, he came with metal chariots. Hashem took the stars out of the chariots. We're towards the bottom of page 6. As it says, the stars fought from the heaven because the stars came and heated up the chariots. When the stars of heaven started coming down on them. And actually, there's a discussion in Tosfos. What does it mean? There's a Tosfos in Psachim that says the star came down on them. Tosfos asks, the stars are so big and the world is so small. How can the star come down into this world? It wouldn't fit. So there's a discussion in Tosfos whether it's the rays, whether it's the smaller stars, exactly what it means that the stars came down, because the average star would not fit into this world. Anyway, in any case, however it is, whether it's just the heat of some of the stars getting closer, or whether it's the smaller stars themselves that came, Akdiru Hane Dikra de Parzala, these metal chariots became boiling hot. Nechisu, they went down into the stream, into Nachal Kishain, Lakrune to cool off, Lemische Nafshayu to cool themselves, to swim, Benachal Kishain, and Nachal Kishain, cool off, it's very hot. Amar loy HaKadosh Baruch Hu leNachal Kishain, Hashem tells Nachal Kishain, Leich v'hashleim ervoincha, go and pay your guarantee. Remember, I said, I promised the sea, I owe the sea 900 bodies, because at the splitting of the sea, the Malach in charge of the sea had a complaint that he lost the bodies. Go and pay up what you guaranteed. Miyad grofam, Nachal Kishain, immediately Nachal Kishain spit them out, v'hishlicham layam, and threw them into the sea. Shenamar, as it says, Nachal Kishain gerofam, Nachal Kishain gerofam, it flooded them, swept them out. Nachal Kedumim, Nachal Kishain is called Nachal Kedumim, the stream from way back. My Nachal Kedumim, why is Nachal Kishain called Nachal Kedumim? Kedumim means way back. Nachal Shenasa Orev Mikedem. This is a stream, it's a river that guaranteed way back, because at the time of the splitting of the sea, when Hashem told the angel in charge of the sea that I'm going to pay you 900 bodies, and he asked, who's going to guarantee? And Hashem said that Nachal Kishain is going to guarantee. But at that time, Paschu Dogim Shel Yam, the fish began, they opened their mouths, and all the fish said, Ve'emes Hashem li'olam, Hashem is true forever. So as everybody's saying, whoever already said Tehillim today or is going to say Tehillim, and in today's Tehillim as the 24th of the month, we have these words, Ve'emes Hashem li'olam, that everything Hashem says is true. And this was said by the fish at the time of Devorah, when the fish got paid the 900 bodies that Hashem had promised. Just to mention, before we go on with Shiras, with the amazing Tana Devei Eliyahu, but on this idea of getting water to make a guarantee, there's an amazing story in Gemara Nedarim with Rabbi Akiva with a guarantee. Rabbi Akiva was a Gabbai Tzedakah. He was in charge of the Tzedakah fund. And there were a lot of needy Jewish people, and there was a need of money, and there wasn't enough money, and the charity fund didn't have enough money to cover the needs. So Rabbi Akiva went to a very wealthy woman, and he asked her that I want to borrow from you this astronomical amount of money. So she says, how do I know that you will pay? Who will guarantee? So Rabbi Akiva says, Hashem and the sea are going to guarantee. She had a beautiful mansion right by the sea. The sea and Hashem are going to guarantee that you'll get the money back. Hashem and the sea will guarantee. The sea is right there. Okay, the rabbi says the sea is going to pay me back if he's late. I trust you. And she lent the money with the basis that Hashem and the sea is going to pay. Anyway, the day came, Rabbi Akiva was an honest man, and he had all the money up, but he got corona. It doesn't say corona, he got sick. He was not able to come. He was in isolation. Okay? He couldn't come, so this wealthy lady goes to the sea, and she looks up to the heaven, and she says, God, Rabbi Akiva is your rabbi. He's a tzaddik. I trusted him. He said that if he doesn't pay the money, whatever the reason is, you and the sea are going to guarantee. God, you have your responsibility. You have to tell the sea that it's got to pay me the money in full, because Hashem guaranteed. Hashem and the sea guaranteed. So the Gemara tells an amazing thing. At that time, there was a princess in Rome who suddenly was struck with insanity. She took from her father's treasure a whole stack of gold, and she took it and she threw it into the sea. But she threw it into the sea in Rome, Italy. Rabbi Akiva was in Israel. I don't know exactly how many kilometers or miles it is from Italy to Israel, but it's a distance. You couldn't swim that far. Anyway, the wave, Hashem made very strong waves who traveled at a very quick pace, and they brought this treasure from Italy, from Rome, all the way to Eretz Yisrael, and it came, this lady's out there with the sea waiting for Rabbi Akiva, you got to pay today. And on that day, the payment was made in full. She counted the money, and the money was there fully. She had the whole money was there. Anyway, Rabbi Akiva got out of isolation. He got over his corona, and he comes and he gives the lady the full payment. And the lady says, I'm not taking any money. Your God and the sea have paid me. The sea was the guarantee. The sea paid me in full. And this is actually the Gemara in Nedarim mentions Rabbi Akiva lived in terrible poverty for many years, but eventually there were 6 various causes that caused him wealth. And one of them is because the sea guaranteed the money and the sea paid in full, and Rabbi Akiva had this money. And so that's how Rabbi Akiva got wealthy, from a guarantee of the sea. Okay, anyway. The next Tana Devei Eliyahu is probably one of the most amazing midrashim on Shiras Devorah. And the Frierdiker Rebbe has a whole mimer discussing this Tana Devei Eliyahu and what we learn of it. So this is one that I really want to focus on, and we were going to learn this one in great depth, I hope. Tana Devei Eliyahu Rabba Yud. Again, Tana Devei Eliyahu is, we said the other day, is from Shiurim that Eliyahu Hanavi gave to Rabbanan. Vatoshar Devorah, and Devorah sang, Man nisnaba Devorah liyisrael. What was Devorah's prophecy? Elakach amra Devorah liyisrael. This is what Devorah said to the Jewish people. B'mi hakadosh baruch hu nifran lahem liyisrael min ha'akum. How will Hashem pay the Jewish people from the Goyim? Now, what does it mean, pay the Jewish people? So there is a Yeshuas Yaakov, who's a commentary on Tana Devei Eliyahu, that explains that the Jewish people deserve reward for all the good things they do. And part of it is that those nations that are oppressing them, that are harassing them, should be gotten out of the way. So how will Hashem pay the Jewish people? By getting rid of these anti-Semitic Goyim who are harassing them. This will all happen if you want to make sure that all the needs of Yidden be taken care of. The solution is Bibnei Adam Shemashkimin Umarivin Lebeis HaKnesses. The solution is go to shul every morning and every night, Ulebeis HaMedrash, and come to the Beis HaMedrash, come to learn. We have these Jews who came to learn in Yarchei Kallah, whether in person or on Zoom. They are the people who are going to solve all Israel's problems. That's what the Veda says. And then the Oinin Omi, those people who answer Omi. If they make a bracha, somebody's in shul, somebody says Kaddish, somebody makes a bracha, or it could be in your house, and you answer Amen on somebody else's bracha. And generally it says, Godol ha'oine Amen yoyser min ha'mevarich. answering amen is greater than making a bracha. Umevorchen es HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chol yom tomid, and they bless Hashem every single day. Actually, he mentions here there's a Gemara in Shabbos that says that if you answer amen Yehei Shmei Rabba b'chol koichei, with all your strength, whether that either means loud or with all your kavanah, they rip any gzar din, even if a person has a decree of 70 years of suffering, it can all be wiped off by answering amen Yehei Shmei Rabba properly. And he brings over here a pasuk the Gemara brings, as it says, B'proya prois b'Yisrael, which is the words of Devorah, and Rashi on this Gemara says, B'proya, the words B'proya means that Hashem nullifies all tragedy, all decrees against Jewish people are nullified in the merit of answering amen, and especially amen Yehei Shmei Rabba. Okay, especially somebody who makes effort to help make a minyan. There's no minyan, the minyan is a bit tight in shul, and he makes sure to be there for the minyan. Aleim huaymer, about these people, it says, and this is what the Devorah says, Pada v'sholem nafshi, says in Tehillim, Hashem redeems me in peace, mikrovli, from the battle, ki berabim hoyu imadi, because of the rabbim, because there's davening, not just davening, but davening is done with a minyan. Then the Devorah goes on to give the advice according to this Tanakh. If there's a Talmid Chacham, there's a scholar in your neighborhood. He knows this Talmid Chacham. He knows it could be a Talmid Chacham. He's an academic scholar, but we're looking more for a Talmid Chacham who's a real committed Jew, and he really learns Chumash for the sake of Hashem. And he learns Mishnayos l'shem Shamayim. This Talmid Chacham is not just learning, but he's really dedicated to Hashem. Therefore, this person gives food and gives support to this Talmid Chacham, people who donate money to yeshivas, to kolelim, and he supports them. He's keeping this Talmid Chacham alive. Not just the Talmid Chacham, the wife and children. Furthermore, this Talmid Chacham, why is he able to give shiurim? Why is he able to teach kids, adults, whoever he teaches, is all because somebody's supporting his wife and kids. So Allah about these people who are supporting this Talmid Chacham, which enables him to teach children and teach adults, it says, Pada v'sholem nafshi mikrovli, Hashem redeems me from all battles, ki berabim hoyu imadi, the merit of the many, because this Talmid Chacham teaches Torah to many people. Bishanu Chacham, and our sages learned, if you save even one Jew, if you save even one Jew, it's as if you save the whole world. If you need a drug of life, person's in danger and you need a drug of life, the best drug that will help you live long is midas hatzdaka. The best solution is giving tzedakah will help you live long. As it says, I was afraid from the anger of Hashem. And then it says, matan, you have af, and it says, matan b'seiser yachap af. If you give tzedakah secretly, where the one who gives does, you give it to a fund, to a tzedakah fund. The one who gives it doesn't know who receives it. The one who receives it doesn't know who gives it. The sheichad, the bribe that you give Hashem, which the way you give Hashem, Hashem accepts bribes if you give money to tzedakah. If you give money to tzedakah, that's a bribe that Hashem accepts, and that can remove great anger. Then he goes on here, and I'm going to go a bit faster. There's a story about two families of Kayanim that came before Rabbi Y Gordon and Zakkai, that they had young men dying very young. And Rabbi Y Gordon and Zakkai said, maybe you guys are descendants of Eli, where it says, there was a curse on the house of Eli that people will die very young. So they said to Rebbe, so what should we do? Let's assume, and if we do come from Eli, so what are we going to do? If people in our family are dying at age 18, very dangerous. So he says, Kivin Shemagia Ben Mibnechem Lepirkoi, when somebody of your family comes to the age of 18, which it seems that they had a lot of deaths at 18, see what is his value as a slave and give it to tzedakah his full value. And then you will have what the pasuk says, Tzedakah tatzil mimavis. Tzedakah saves from death, and they went and they did this and they saved themselves. Then he goes on to say that anybody who does, I'm just going to go through this a bit quicker, anybody who does mishpat tzedakah, does judgment, it's very important to judge people, to save people who are being abused by others, and gives tzedakah. It's Kilu Padas over the page. It's now on page 8. Kilu Padas HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'Yisrael min ha'akum. As if you saved Hashem and the Jewish people from the nations, from those who are harassing them. V'olav HaKosav Omer, it is about these people who give tzedakah. It says, Pada v'shalim nafshi, Hashem has redeemed me b'shalim. At that time, Hashem says, who redeems me? Pada v'shalim nafshi. Who redeems Hashem and the Shekhinah and all the Jewish people from the Goyim? It is somebody who does mishpat, judgment, and tzedakah. And if you don't do it, man nemar behen, what's going to happen then? It says, vatihi ha'emes nederes. Emes will be missing. So he goes on to say that Hashem's name should be blessed forever, and Hashem should have lots of nachas from the Jewish people, that Hashem said, who redeems me and the Shekhinah from the Goyim? It's Hashem who redeems. As it says, P'deili kimes Yisrael mikol tzara'is, Hashem redeems the Yid. Or there's another pasuk, Yachel Yisrael Hashem ki Hashem achesed. Hashem redeems. But Hashem, he goes on that Hashem says to Beis David, what do you want? You want the days of Mashiach? You want to have Mashiach? We want Mashiach now. You want Mashiach? We got a solution. You want to have a Geula? Asum mishpat u'tzedakah. The answer to have Mashiach and to have redemption is mishpat, judgment, and tzedakah. As it says, Beis David, Hashem says, Dinu lambeker mishpat, judge in the morning and save the person who's being robbed. Okay. This is the piece I went through quickly, and from here, the bottom of page 8 is the piece that we get much more back to Devorah. Amra Devorah. Devorah says, this is about 6 lines from the bottom of page 8. Torah gives Hashem pleasure above, and pleasure down here. As it says, Torah is the tree of life to those who support it. My heart, the Veda says, is connected to the scholars of Israel, those who donate themselves towards the people, and Baruch Hu Hashem, they bless Hashem. So the Veda says the solution, we had all these problems from Sisra of 20 years, and the solution of all this is to connect yourself to Torah. And then he goes on to say, Roichvei asoynos tzichayros. Now, Roichvei asoynos tzichayros, interesting the way the Tana Devei Eliyahu translates it. But first, I want to just look into, if you go in the Tanakh itself for 1 minute, and it's on page 114 in the Nach, Perek Hey Pasuk Yud, Roichvei asoynos tzichayros, and the Metzudas David says it refers to officers that are riding on white female donkeys because they're very wealthy, and all these people, and also it says Yoshvei Amadin, and also the judges and the people traveling the road, they're all talking about the amazing miracle that Hashem made. So the simple meaning of the pasuk is that the rich people riding on white donkeys are talking about the miracles that happened in the days of Devorah. That's the simple meaning. But the Tana Devei Eliyahu translates this totally different. He says over here, Ein tzchayros ela lashon nekiyos. Tzchayros means clean. Shehem nekiyim min hagezel. If they are clean from theft, you want to be saved, you got to make sure that no one steals. Even if you give a lot of tzedakah. If somebody earns money illegally against halacha, no good. If there's others who you know earning against halacha. So you got to be very clean from theft. Yoshvei al Medin, and Devorah, by the way, was very into, we had that he shofetes es Yisrael. Devorah was judging the Jewish people and preventing theft, preventing people from financially hurting each other. Yoshvei al Medin. What is the Yoshvei al Medin? The word Medin comes from din, according to the Tana Devei Eliyahu. Elu b'nei yodim shemamidim es hadavar al din emes. They have everything go by the law of truth. They're very careful that everything should go by truth. Vein medin el loshin din. The word medin means, as he quotes a pasuk here, lahatis medin dalim, to save the judgment of the poor people, just like over there, din means saving. Then he says, v'holchim al derech sichu, 2 lines from the top of the page. These are the Sanhedrin that the sha'olam nishan aleim. You have the Sanhedrin that the whole world rests on them. They never speak idle talk. These are people who are fully involved in doing what Hashem wants, in studying Torah, in teaching Torah. Shenamar, as it says, Devorah in her Shira. And again, if we look in Shiras Devorah inside, you will see in Perek Hey, when Devorah says her Shira in Pasuk Gimel, she says, Shimu Melachim Hazino Reiznim. Listen, kings, listen, Reiznim, who is also some word for great rulers. Reiznim in Yisrara Mitzvah says, Anoichi Lashem, Anoichi Ashira. I will sing to Hashem. That's the simple meaning of this pasuk. However, the Tana Devei Eliyahu says, Shimu Melachim, listen, kings, is talking about the Talmidei Chachamim who are loichamim b'milchamta shel Torah. They fight in the war of Torah because they fight to understand, they argue to understand what this pasuk says, what this Mishnah says, what this Gemara says. And he goes on in the mention here in Umenatzchim. This is from the Yeshuas Yaakov, who's a commentary on the Tana Devei Eliyahu. Umenatzchim zeh b'halacha. They fight each other in halacha. They overpower each other in halacha. Okay. So again, when we say Shimu Melachim, just again, Shimu Melachim, listen, kings, Talmidei Chacham are called Melachim, because there's a pasuk, Bi Melachim Yimleichu, kings consult with Hashem. Talmidei Chacham are called Reiznim, because their whole talk is in the secrets of Torah. So Shimu Melachim Hazinu Reiznim. Listen, you Talmidei Chachamim. How will we protect the Jewish people? Mikoil Mechatzitzim. And what is the meaning of Koil Mechatzitzim? It actually, there's an amazing, generally Mechatzitzim in other midrashim says is the children who are chirping and saying over Torah. But here he says, Mikoil Mechatzitzim is from the word Mechitza. They make a separation. Elo ha'omrim al tomei tomei v'al toher toher. They say, in other words, people are dealing with halachic issues. There are some people who distort halacha. Some people bend halacha. Mechatzitzim is you make a line, you make a mechitza. This is what the Torah says is tamei, and this is what the Torah says is tahor. And they don't go against halacha. Hakoil b'mekoyma yubizmanah. It's very important that every halacha in the right place, in the right time, people who use their own intellect to mess up halacha are messing up the Jewish people. They study Hilchos Shabbos b'Shabbos. It comes Shabbos, they do the laws of Shabbos properly. Hilchos Moed b'Moed on a Yom Tov, the laws of Moed. Hilchos Chagiga u'Meila v'dinei chatzotzim ba'adam. What does the word dinei chatzotzim mean? So the simple meaning is, and we'll soon see how the Friedrich Rebbe translates this. He says but the simple meaning is chatzitza, concerning something pure or impure. Somebody goes to the mikveh, you're not allowed to have the slightest chatzitza between your flesh, whether it's a woman goes to mikveh for family purity, or a man goes to mikveh for whatever halachas. He needs to go to mikveh, especially in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. So the idea of the toiveling, not to have the slightest chatzitza. Also, netilas yodayim, when we wash our hands for negovasser, we wash our hands before a meal, so we make sure that we have no chatzitza. Our hands are perfectly clean. That's also called mechatzitzim. Bein mash'abim. In the Shiras Devorah it says Bein Mash'abim. The simple meaning Bein Mash'abim, Mitzudas David says, is those who go and fetch water are talking about the great miracles of Hashem. But here he says Mash'abim is ein Mash'abim el Loshin Shiva, fetching water. As it says, Vatishav lechol gemalim. We have by Rivka. Rivka, Eliezer comes to the well, and Rivka offers, not only will she give water to Eliezer, but she will give water to all the camels. And we have another pasuk, Ushaftem mayim b'sasan, you fetch water with joy. And what does it mean you fetch water with joy here? That you not only learn for yourself, but you're teaching others, and you're besimcha. You're excited and you're happy that you're able to give over to others. Davar acher, another pshat, bein mash'abim mitoich shaloimdim v'shoyavim divrei Torah. They study and they fetch words of Torah. Umachisin aleihem. And umachisin aleihem means that they fight, they anger each other with the war of Torah. They argue to understand every halacha correctly. Lekach nemar bein mash'abim, those who are fetching and giving over to others. Shom yisanu tzitkas Hashem. There they study the righteousness of Hashem. Tzitkas pirzoinoi bi Yisrael. the righteousness of Pirzoinoi. Now, very interesting word, the word Pirzoinoi. The simple translation of Pirzoinoi is Prozois Teishev Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim will be Prozois, without a wall. That before the days of Devorah, people were afraid to be in the open cities. They were all running to the walled cities because of the attacks. And now they were ready to live in the unwalled cities. However, the Medrash says Pirzoinoi is the word like the word Pizer, scattering. Chesed Godel Losa HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem did a great kindness. Shepizer es Yisrael leveinu akum. There's a great kindness of Hashem that Hashem scattered the Jewish people amongst all the nations, which this itself needs a lot of understanding. What is this amazing kindness of Hashem that Hashem scattered the Jewish people amongst the nations? Anyway, I would like to go into this Tana Devei Eliyahu a lot deeper. There is a long mimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe on this topic. I put into the copy just one specific page. I will mention that if anybody is interested in seeing the full mimer on this topic, because here the Frierdiker Rebbe gives us a tremendous deeper understanding of Shiras Devorah and what it's about, but the general mimer is going on that last pasuk that we had, Tzidkas Pirzoinoi, the righteousness of the scattering of the Jewish people. Okay. I'm going to start with the first line on Gimel, and maybe tomorrow we'll do this mimer a bit more thoroughly, because it will give us a much deeper understanding in the whole Shiras Devorah, and it's relevant to each one of us. He says, "V'zehu mekayol mechatzitzim bein mash'abim." We just had that the voice which is heard amongst those who are fetching water. It says in Tana Devei Eliyahu, "Koil mechatzitzim is koil ha'oiskim b'Torah she'omrim al tomei tomei v'al toher toher." That the mechatzitzim are people who say the halacha correctly. Something that's tomei they call tomei, something that's toher they call toher. The laws of Shabbos, Chagiga, Me'ilah, Chatzitza. So bein mash'abim is they fetch and give over divrei Torah. The word mechatzitzim is from the word chatzitza. They make a division between tomei and toher. And the Frierdiker Rebbe goes at great length on this, that it's very important that we don't mix up. There are many people who give false interpretations in Torah, and they interpret Torah to their convenience. And that's one of the worst things we can do, is interpret Torah to our convenience. We have to be honest with ourselves. What does Hashem really want me to do in this situation? What does the Torah really want me to do? The Rabbanim have to be honest. Each one of us have to be honest. We have to know, what does Hashem really want? And we have to divine what's a mitzvah, what's an aveda, what's correct, what's not correct. And he says, mechatzitzim is from the word chatzitza, that you have to make a chatzitza, you have to make a separation between tomei and toher, what is impure and what is pure. And he mentions first tomei, tomei, and toher, toher, and then he mentions Shabbos, Chagiga, Me'ilah. By Hilchos Shabbos, you also have to make sometimes walls. You have a dead-end street, you want to be able to carry there, you need to make a mechitza to permit carrying in this area. Because there are generally, actually he's going to go on with the whole concept of Eruv and how Eruv fits into this, but I think that we were running probably late, so we'll leave it at this. Tomorrow, just the plan for tomorrow is to understand the Tana Devei Eliyahu, the message of Devorah. The plan for tomorrow is to deeper message in everything that Devorah did and how it relates to every one of us, and the understanding how the Frierdiker Rebbe learns the interpretation of this medrash, which that's what we're hoping to work on tomorrow, which is probably what I find is the most amazing part of the whole Shiras Devorah, is to see the Frierdiker Rebbe's interpretations of Shiras Devorah, of the Midrashim on Shiras Devorah. Okay, we're going to leave it at this. Wishing everybody a lot of hatzlacha. Yes. Judgment is that you have to make sure that if there's somebody who's stealing, somebody's hurting someone financially, that he should whether it's Rabbanim or a Bezdin or whatever, that You shouldn't allow A to rob B and do nothing about it. We're not suggesting that you should condemn people. We're not suggesting you should condemn people. But if there is someone doing something wrong and you know about it, you have a responsibility. The answer is not to go and say, you idiot, you bum. That's not going to do any good. Okay. I know that my father once asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, my father became a Rav at a very young age, and he asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, how do you give Musar? How do you rebuke Balabatim? You know, it's a very hard job. People don't like to. So on one occasion, so the Rebbe gave him a mashal of a Russian bath, where you have this big besom, a big stick where you massage. Take the same guy with that same besom and hit him outside with it, it'll hit you right back. But if you bring him in and you warm him up and you elevate him and you hit him, then he'll ask for more. My father, when he first got this Rabbanus in the shul, the people, the Balabatim in the shul, were very concerned that he shouldn't speak about Shabbos, because a lot of people don't keep Shabbos. He shouldn't speak about kosher. People don't keep kosher, and a lot of other mitzvahs. You know, he shouldn't talk too much about. Don't talk about Judaism, but not any real. Anyway, it came Simchas Torah, and my father took some mashke, and as he took mashke, he started speaking about Shabbos and kosher and all these things. And the president says, you know, what's going on? We made it. So he says, you know, he says, my father asks, I'm not allowed to talk about Shabbos and kosher. I understand. But am I allowed to think about Shabbos and kosher? So the president says, you could think about anything you want, as long as you keep your trap closed. Okay. So then he says, am I allowed to take mashke on Simchas Torah? Am I allowed to take a drink? Drink all you like. Just keep your trap closed. So then he asks him, did you ever hear, there's a Yiddish expression, the president spoke Yiddish, what a sober person has inside his thoughts, the drunkard is on his tongue. So I took some mashke, so my thoughts came out. It was an accident. I thought about Shabbos. I thought about kashrus. I don't mean to say anything. I just think about it and it came out. So he got away with it. And I remember my father always would take mashke every Shabbos at the Kiddush, and you know, take mashke at the Kiddush, things come out. Yeah. Anyway, my father got away with it, and eventually he was able to say all sorts of things about Shabbos and kosher, because he took enough mashke and he got away with everything. Find a way of telling them in a nice way. You could leave it, but if there's something that you could do to have a positive influence, you have to do whatever you can. Sometimes it's just by wishing the person good Shabbos. You say good Shabbos to a person, maybe that'll help. You know, I don't know, whatever. You have to think of it. One thing is certain. The Rebbe always says everything has to be done b'darkei noyam b'darkei shalom, in a nice way. Just by doing things in a nasty way doesn't do good. So the question is, how do I deal with this person's failings in a positive way? Easier said than done. Sorry? You are right. I'll be out in a minute. I'm sorry I'm late.